Siblings slept with my ex during my engagement party, so I went nuclear. I, female 36, and my fiance Hugh, male 40, are set to get married in late July, and it's been wonderful. We've been together for 5 years, and I am head over heels for this man. He loves my family, and I love his. We now have our own home hours away from my hometown, 2 dogs, and all but the white picket fence to go with it. By the way, this comes from user Ceramic Jedi Guardian, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, I have to add backstory. When I was in high school, I dated a boy in my grade, Edward, now male 36, and we were together forever. We went to the same university and eventually got an apartment together. We graduated. He graduated a year after me, longer story, and talked about marriage. I wanted to marry him, and since we got our own apartment, he'd been talking about marriage after we graduate. Well, we graduated, and then he starts talking about marriage after we get steady grown-up jobs. I got my job, but he remained in his service industry job, which was fine to me. He eventually got a full-time job there as a senior bar manager, and I was so ecstatic for him. I then mentioned that now that we both have our adult jobs, we can renew the talk of marriage. He shut that down. He kept saying that his job is still an in-between job, and he wanted a job in the field he studied, which is business. I was confused and asked how he isn't in that job. He argued that he wants to make at least $60,000 a year before we get married. He made a little under 50 at the time. And I told him I was getting tired of waiting. I tried to give him time, but I did want to get married. It was important to me. We argued, and he admitted that he didn't want to get married. He loved me, but didn't want marriage. I was heartbroken, and we carried on for a little less than a month before I told him that I loved him so much, but I want marriage. And since he's changed his mind, our ideas of the future are no longer aligned. He asked me to stay and suggested we simply lie and say we eloped to family and friends. It took me a while to get past the failed relationship for a lot of reasons. He was my first in many senses, and I truly thought we would have that high school sweetheart love story. The breakup was messy. He was petty about everything. He basically took everything when he moved out, claiming he put in $20, so it should be his, but since he uses it the most. It was miserable, but I tried to stay calm as he moved out quickly, so it was over quickly. Still, it took a while to get over him, but I did finally get over him. Hugh and I met about a year later, and we eventually started dating. We both went in wanting a courtship that would move into getting married eventually. Edward was likely aware of me dating Hugh because my social media wasn't private, and he's still good friends with my brother and knows my sister as she's a year older than us. My parents still liked him, and thus he was around for community events and such. Now on to the issue. Mom wanted to throw an engagement party, and it happened the day before Father's Day. My mom did ask if it was okay if Edward came, and I said I wasn't entirely comfortable with having my ex at my engagement party. So, it was one heck of a hootenanny, that party. Mama kept mixing drinks and adding to her old party punch. I myself got a little sauce. We danced and did karaoke well into the night, and I was singing You'll Be Back from Hamilton when I saw Hugh walking back into the backyard, and his face was enraged. I finished the song and made my way to him and asked what was wrong, but he said for us to just enjoy our night and brought me another drink. We stayed over, and I woke up earlier than expected yesterday and went to the porch to enjoy some fresh air and much-needed cold water when eventually my brother Quincy came out. He froze when he saw me and just slumped and said, "I guess you know." But when I stared at him and laughed, like, "What do you mean?" He told me that last night he walked in on Edward and my sister Emma, female 37, wastedly going at it in the guest room. Hugh confirmed that Quincy came to find him to tell him what happened, and they went to my parents, and despite everyone looking for Edward and Emma, both of them were gone. That's around the time Hugh found me. When I checked my phone, Edward had texted that night looking for me, asking to talk and saying we needed to talk in person and that it was important. Then he texted that he was still in love with me and we needed to talk about this mistake I was making. And then he hooked up with my sister. I tried to call Emma, but she didn't answer, and Hugh and I were leaving for our flight, so I texted her just stating I knew about her and Edward, and I generally don't care who she sleeps with, as it's not my business, and Edward is not my problem anymore, but she should know about what he texted me, and I sent her the screenshots of his text. I also told her that it was disrespectful in any case to do any of this at my engagement party, but it was especially disrespectful that it was my ex and she is my sister. Hugh and I got back home yesterday afternoon, and he took me to see Thunderbolts last night to make me feel better and take my mind off things. We worked today, so I had plenty to occupy me, but Emma still hasn't responded, And I only just heard from my mom telling me that Emma confirmed she is physically okay, but she doesn't want to speak to us just yet. I'm hours away trying to make sense of this because this is not my sister at all, and frankly, I don't care what Edward does. I've already blocked him for my own mental health after showing Hugh his texts. Quincy's suggesting I take time to calm down and not overreact, but to be honest, I've hardly had the bandwidth to really react at all. He's telling me that he loves me, but if I care who sleeps with my ex or anything about my ex's spicy sleep life, then I need to reconsider an engagement because it sounds like I'm not over him. Am I crazy here? My parents did not invite Edward. Mom asked because she was asked by her close friend who was also Edward's mother. They're friends from school, and she wasn't sure about it, so she checked with me first. I never told my parents about how he treated me. Again, it was so brief, and I just wanted him out. I did tell my siblings later, and it caused my brother to stop being his friend for a while, but I've since told him I don't care if he's friends with Edward, as Edward is not my concern anymore. And yes, I'm sure I'm over Edward. I got over him, and it took a while, and it hurt, but he's just a part of my past. I have seen him on occasion, but we don't say more than 2 sentences to each other at once. Sorry. I did skew ages and used fake names to be a little more anonymous, which I thought was the way you're supposed to do it. But it's my first post, so I don't know how this all works. Yes, my brother and Edward are friends as far as I know. I haven't asked about it after the party. I genuinely don't know. I don't live there anymore. And Hugh is fine. He's upset for their behavior and that it put a damper on our evening more than anything else. Lastly, my siblings don't live at the house. The house was purchased after we all moved out of the family home, which my brother rents from my parents. 2 weeks ago, Emma finally replied, kind of. It was just one message. I'm going no contact. I need to protect my mental health. No context. No, I love you. No, I didn't do it. Just, I need to prioritize my mental health. I'm going no contact with you. And then she blocked me everywhere. Then absolute silence. I texted Quincy and he didn't get the text, just got blocked. Mom, she isn't blocked, but said she would try to find out what's happening. I was already raw, but this broke something in me when I was logging on my next new phone. I logged onto Instagram and found a message request from Emma's best friend, Danica, who I know sort of, but not very well. I wish I hadn't read it. Danica wrote me an absolute wall of text tearing me apart, calling me a toxic, manipulative witch of a sister, saying I'm running a smear campaign to protect my scandalous golden sibling Quincy, that Emma deserves a better family and no wonder she's going no contact and we can all go F ourselves. Danica said if I really cared about Emma's mental health, I'd shut up and take accountability. I reread this nonsense at least 5 times and burst into tears. I couldn't breathe. I dropped my phone on the floor and Hugh came in with lavender tea and he just sat next to me while I sobbed into his chest. He didn't say anything, just held me. I couldn't even form words. I mean, I won't claim to be an angel, but I've never had anyone talk to me that way before in my life. Later, I called my mom. She was confused and said she hadn't heard from Emma either, but she tried to check in. That was 2 weeks ago. But then, this past Saturday, she called me again, and this time her voice was tight. Not angry, just heavy. I hate that tone. That's the tone of, it's about to go down, and I'm already so tired of all this. She said, OP, Quincy has something he wants to say. And I hear sobbing, like loud, broken, ugly sobbing. I didn't even know it was Quincy at first, just heaving, choking sob. Then Quincy says it was me, and my stomach dropped. He finally managed to get it out. Him and Edward had been hooking up, on and off. My brother Quincy and Edward have been hooking up on and off for a while. He didn't say how long. He said he caught feelings, real ones, but Edward made it clear that he was still in love with me. From what Quincy told me, that night at the engagement party, Emma stumbled in wasted and borderline blacked out, found them, cursed them out, stormed out. They panicked. Quincy said he freaked out that it would destroy the family and that she'd tell everyone. So Edward took Emma home and Quincy went into damage control mode. Damage control. He told my fiance, he told my parents, but he said it was Emma. He threw our effing sister under the bus to protect his affair. He didn't say a word. I just hung up. I tried to call Emma. I'm blocked. Text, undelivered. Instagram, blocked. Facebook, blocked. Hugh has tried to help with communications because I just haven't been able to function. Quincy has now blocked him on everything, but Emma didn't block Hugh, so he sent her a message to tell her we all know the truth and are sorry and to please reach out. We haven't heard anything bad. Mom is just sad. She's not been messaging or replying much at all. Hugh says she's just lost. Well, so am I. I'm tired and so heartbroken. That's all I can say right now. And that's the end of that story.